Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Alright. So before we begin the session, I just wanted to take a moment and see if you had any questions from last time.
So far, I don't think so, no.
Okay, very good. So just to recap what you talked about last time, you started a new job.
Yes.
That's exciting.
Yes, it is.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
And it sounds like it's a pretty good fit.
Yes.
You like your boss.
Very much so.
Awesome.
Yep.
It's always good. And there is one coworker who's maybe kind of a negative influence, kind of frustrating to you.
Yes, not that I dislike working with her. I really like her a lot. So we're in a PT clinic. I'm a PT. She's a PT assistant, and I really like her a lot and to work with her, but she's been venting more about aspects of the job which have been hard for her, and that's been hard for me, knowing her being kind of negative and complaining about the job quite a bit to me sometimes.
Gotcha. And this is during the workday,
Yes. Yep.
so you're trying to do something and then she's complaining to you?
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
Or sometimes before the day even begins, before the patients even get there, she starts to complain about how the workday was the day before, and it's just starting to get a little frustrating. And I'm frustrated on her behalf as well.
For sure. So you mentioned frustration.
Yes.
On a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being I need to leave this job, it is just too much, I can't take it. And 1 being it's not perfect, no job ever is, but it's a good fit, I'm happy I'm here. Where would you say you are?
I feel like I'm around a 4, 5. And it's not all the time, it's just in those moments where, well, yeah, I guess I would say in general, overall, maybe 4 or 5, because she's starting to add this extra stressful aspect to the job.
Okay. But if if she was maybe taking up less of your time, that might bump you down to like a 2 or 3?
Yes.
Okay. Alright. So that's good to know. So one of the things you talked about last time is in order to help this coworker out, you were thinking about increasing your hours.
Yes, to help ease her burden at the job a bit.
Okay.
So I was starting to think, I was contemplating making that move.
Okay. And another thing you talked about is how much you like the job because it gives you work-life balance.
Right. So I'm part-time, and one of the reasons I like that about the job is that's all they were looking for was part-time, and that's allowed me to, like you said, kind of balance my work life and my personal life a lot better. It's one of the things I love about this position.
And you have a lot of responsibilities outside of your work, right?
Right. So what I do with the extra time is I help give care to my elderly father-in-law, and I started helping out with childcare for my brother during the pandemic quite a bit. But I'm still kind of doing that once a week as well.
Okay. Wow, that sounds like a lot.
It's good. It's good stuff I like doing, but
Yeah.
it's that's why being part-time has helped me be able to balance that other stuff that's important to me as well.
Okay. But you're maybe considering going a little less part-time.
Right. Taking
Okay.
on more hours at my job because
Okay.
of this situation that's happening with my coworker.
So are you trying to kind of figure out if that's something you should do?
Exactly, because
Okay.
it's obviously I didn't sign up to work more hours. One of the reasons I, like you said, took the position is because these hours work for me, but I'm also contemplating doing it because there is sort of that need there. 'Cause my coworker, the reason why she's so negative right now is she's feeling overwhelmed. She's not getting enough support, specifically in the days when I'm not there, because her and I work well together, but that's not necessarily the case with the other therapist who also happens to be the boss. So
Oh,
she's very
the plot thickens.
right. So she's very overwhelmed, and me trying to problem solve, I realized one of the solutions might be, well, if I worked more hours, that would make things easier for her and take some of the burden off her if her and I work together more.
Okay. So it sounds like you're trying to, right now, kind of reach a decision as to what you should do.
Right.
So one of the things I kind of thought would help you is to create a pros and cons list.
Sure.
This is helpful when we're trying to come up with a decision, and we're thinking about all these things in our head, and it can just be kind of overwhelming, and we can get stuck.
Right, because I haven't talked to anyone about this. This has just been me, and I haven't talked to her about it. It's just something I've been thinking on my own head to be the solution, possibly.
Okay.
So yeah.
So by doing this, if you're open to this, this could be something that you work on in the next week.
Okay.
It's pretty simple. You write down, the choice, the thing that you're trying to make a decision about, and then the pros, and then the cons.
Sure.
And it can just kind of help you see on paper, maybe there's more pros than cons, or maybe there's more cons than pros. Things that you maybe haven't even thought about just by writing it down. So why don't we just kind of work through an example,
Okay.
and then you can kind of take this and work on it.
Yeah, that would be great.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
So, like for example, choice would be, the big choice right now is, do I pick up more hours? The pros being, I know it would be a benefit to my coworker to work more hours with me, and she'd feel more supported. And then obviously like the money aspect to it. It would be nice to make a little bit more money.
Yeah, for sure.
But the cons being, it would be less time I'd have for those other personal life responsibilities I would have, or wouldn't have time for because I'd be working more often.
Yep. And with the pros, you talk about helping your coworker, but I'd really like you to think about how helping your coworker would help you.
Sure.
Because it sounds like you've got a lot of responsibility in your life.
Yeah.
And you naturally take responsibility for others, which is a great thing, but that can sometimes go over the line, and so you're kind of hurting yourself or just giving too much of yourself and not leaving enough time for yourself.
Right.
So that might just be something to
Which I don't want to do too.
think about. Yeah. So just as you're going through your week, if you think of something, maybe jot it down.
Very good. I think that would help. I like lists.
Lists are good. Okay, so I kind of want to switch gears a little bit.
Okay.
And just tell me a little bit more about Jessica, your coworker.
So, like I said, Jessica's a PT assistant, and her and I have to work very closely together. She's someone although she has been very negative and vents quite a bit to me, overall I do like her as a coworker. I really respect her a lot as a therapist. She really cares for her patients. She works super hard, and she's one of those people who, if she sees something that needs to be done, she will just take care of it herself, just to make sure it gets done. That might be to her detriment, taking on too much, but outside of work, I know she's also a new mom. She just had her first baby about almost a year ago, and she's also, I know she has a lot of personal things going on between being a new mom and being the sole financial provider in her marriage because her husband went back to school. I know she's got a lot of personal things going on, and not a big support system in her own life as well on top of that.
Okay.
And helping care for her child. So so she's got a lot going on in her personal life. She's overwhelmed at work at the moment, but she's also, a good therapist, someone who's also a hard worker.
Okay. So it sounds like you have a lot of respect for her.
Definitely.
And you hate seeing people in a tough spot, so you want to help them.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
Kudos to you.
Thanks.
So I want to take a moment and kind of put you in Jessica's shoes.
Sure.
As if you were Jessica. I'm going to kind of walk you through the day as if you were Jessica.
Okay.
All right? So it's morning.
Okay.
It's before you're at work.
Okay.
And you wake up, and what does your morning routine look like?
I know for sure it's waking up and feeding my baby and getting my baby ready for the day, whether it's taking that baby to some childcare or just getting the baby ready in general, because I know Jessica's still breastfeeding, so she has to wake up, feed her infant, get ready for work herself, and And I know she's making a point, she has to get up extra early not only to feed her infant, but she gets to work extra early on top of that, because she usually has leftover work from the day before that she has to go to work to catch up on, to finish all the documentation for all the patients she treated. And she has to show up extra early in order to do that before the patients get there.
Okay. And when you as Jessica are on the road to work, what do you think is, what's going through your mind?
I have a feeling it's dread going to work.
Oh.
Just from what she's told me. I know if I were Jessica, I'd be thinking about how much I don't want to be leaving my infant at home, how I wish I were at home with my baby instead of going to work. There's that, you know, guilt feeling of leaving your child and having to go to work. Dread about already feeling behind from the day before, knowing I have all this paperwork to do once I get to work, and then a whole busy day of patients to see ahead of me. I think I'd be feeling kind of anxious about that. Now, I would like to think that depends on the day, because I know she feels more supported on the days she works with me, as opposed to the days she works with the other therapist who frequently disappears. Because he's also the owner, so sometimes he leaves the clinic to go take care of owner things, which leaves her treating more patients than she really should be at a given time. And I have a feeling on those days when she's going to work, she's really dreading it, because she knows she's not going to get the support she needs to take care of everybody. But even still, the days she works with me, some days are still really busy. So to answer your question, I think she's thinking about missing her baby. She's feeling overwhelmed from knowing she still has work from the day before to finish, and she's got a busy schedule ahead of her.
Lots on her plate.
Yeah, I would say so.
Both in and out of work. So if we take that scale again, maybe for Jessica it's not so much frustration, it's more dread or anxiety, feeling overwhelmed.
Yeah.
Where do you think she is at the start of her day?
That's a good question. At the start of her day, I would not be surprised from what she's told me if she's already starting at like a 5. And then I imagine that depending on, like I said, the day, obviously every day is a little different. Some days are super stressful. I have a feeling that gets up to a 9. I know for a fact she gets to points where she feels like she can't do this job. She's even talked about if it weren't for being the sole income provider at the moment, she would be not at that place anymore. She would at least be part-time. And so I know it's her frustration level over dissatisfaction level, I guess, goes up pretty high and starts out relatively high. I would say it's a 5.
Yeah. If yours overall is a 5 and hers starts at a 5,
right,
that's quite a difference.
I would say so.
Okay, so we're gonna kind of take a like we're not Jessica anymore.
Okay.
But as you, what did you feel going through that exercise, kind of looking at her day from her perspective?
I personally felt I feel a lot of sympathy for her and understanding for, like, she's not someone who's just she's not someone who just complains about anything to complain. Okay. I feel like her complaints are legit. I think she is overworked at times. I do believe she's not getting enough support at work because we are short-staffed, for one. I do believe that the other therapist doesn't give her enough support. So to answer your question, I'm feeling frustration on her behalf and sympathy.
Do you think feeling the frustration on her behalf is affecting your frustration?
I think so. I do, because I feel like I somehow feel responsible for her, even though I know I don't treat her that way, and her and I tend to work together very well. As someone because she's someone I have to lean on quite a bit at the job, because she, helps support me when I'm doing my PT things. I want her to be happy. As my coworker, someone I work with closely, I want her to be satisfied in getting what she needs to be able to do her job. And I think that's another thing I feel too when I think about being in her shoes, is how unsatisfied she must be knowing she can't give the type of patient care that she wants to, because she's kind of spread too thin at the clinic on top of it.
For sure. And have you talked to Jessica? Because I hear you say, she's frustrated, she feels this, she feels that. Have you, and she complains to you, but have you talked to her about, hey, I've been thinking about taking on more hours to help you. Do you think that will help? Have you said anything like that to her?
I haven't said anything like that to her. I'm kind of keeping my cards pretty close right now. It's something I've been thinking about doing.
Fair enough.
But no, I have not mentioned to her that I was even thinking about doing this at all. Because in my own mind, I haven't committed to doing it yet, but it's true I haven't actually discussed this idea with her.
Yeah, and it's take your time. This is a big decision, so you know, however you need to arrive at it. But it might not hurt to get her input to see what she needs. Because if the goal for you in taking on more hours is to help her, you want to make sure that taking more hours is actually going to help her.
That's true. That's a good point. I don't want to do it and then have it not even be what she needs, and then I'm stuck working extra hours that apparently aren't helping anybody anyway.
Yeah. So that might be a good thing, to just kind of take a step back and maybe outside of the clinic, or certainly when your bosses are there.
Yeah.
talk to her and just get her side of the story.
Okay, that's a good idea.
And another thing that you could kind of do in speaking to her is to get her to think about what would make it better for her.
That's true.
Because if she's just kind of stuck on complaining and this is going bad and this is annoying and this and this and this, it's all negative, she may not even be thinking about alternatives.
Right.
And sometimes
I get that impression from her too.
And sometimes just thinking about a solution can kind of help you break that cycle of getting stuck in the problem.
Right.
If that makes sense.
And it does, I guess, kind of put the ball in her court a little bit too. So rather than me trying to fix her problems for her, gets her to think about what the solution should even be.
Yeah,
what she needs, I guess.
The person has to want to help themselves.
Sure.
You can't force them to do
that's true.
whatever. So that's
Okay.
a good one too. And then it also sounds like Jessica is seeking you out. As frustrating as it can be during the day when you're busy and you want to focus on things, and then she's pulling your attention away because of the complaining.
Right.
She's seeking you out for a specific purpose, I think.
Okay.
And it sounds like she feels that you're able to at least be a sounding board and at least respect and make her feel heard. So that's something that you could, you should take pride in.
Oh, thank you. I do feel like, I am, for some reason, the only one she chooses to complain to. It's not like she's complaining to anyone who will hear her. She specifically finds me when I'm by myself and kind of unburdens herself on me and tells me what's going on.
Yeah. And that's,
I hope she sees an ally in me or something. Maybe that's why she talks to me about it.
I think so. And on a good day or on a bad day, that can be the last thing you want.
That's true.
But maybe just by holding that thought in your head that she really does see you as an ally.
Yeah.
She is a person at work who doesn't feel heard a lot of the times, but when she talks to you, you do listen.
And that reminds me too,
Mm-hmm.
I didn't mention it before, she tends to be someone who will just suffer in silence, and maybe I'm starting to think now as maybe the reason I feel sort of responsible, why I feel compelled to do something to make her life better is I feel like she doesn't know how to make things better, and I am sort of getting the impression she's venting to me because maybe she's silently hoping to get some help or assistance, get someone to help advocate for her. I don't know.
Yeah,
In a way, I guess.
that could be.
So.
And it's difficult if someone doesn't know how to advocate for themselves. And you've said in the past, even in your short time there, you really have made some changes. You've talked to your boss about things, and you've done it in a respectful way, and it's been like changes have been implemented, right?
Yep, yeah, like with the scheduling, I made it so not too many patients are scheduled at any given time. That way, in case I'm in an eval and I can't be helping her in the clinic, you know, she's not gonna be too overwhelmed, and, you know, making more time in the schedule for lunches so that she's not just grabbing a bite to eat real quick and then going back to patient care. She's getting her designated half hour, and I feel like I've made those changes.
You've done a lot for her, but I think maybe now it's time to bring her on board and show her, you know, I'm here as an ally, but
Yeah,
you need to help yourself so then you can help all of us.
yeah,
And maybe first engaging her in a conversation where you guys both get on the same page with what would help her, rather than you changing the hours and just increasing your hours without really knowing if that's going to bring a solution for either of you.
that's a good point.
And then if you and she can kind of get on the same page, then I think it would be a good idea to talk to the boss a little bit. And because it sounds like you said he's the therapist that's not really supportive,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
And so
And not in a malicious way. I
Sure.
think he's just so distracted with his owner responsibilities
yeah,
that he doesn't see what's happening for Jessica, this coworker of mine.
yeah. And if you guys can help him see through
Yeah.
talking to him that, you know, he's a great boss, but there are some things that need to change.
Yeah.
One coworker, this coworker is ready to leave,
Yeah.
you know, that's a big deal. He wouldn't want that.
Yeah.
So I think talking to Jess, again, like I said, getting on the same page with her, and then you guys together
Okay.
talking to him. And I think the other thing that could come out of this conversation is you're a direct communicator. You know how to have productive, respectful conversations and make change, right? You've done that in
Try
your,
to.
you've changed the schedule, you've increased at lunch hours, advocated for lunch hours. That's huge. And it sounds like Jessica maybe could benefit from seeing you in action.
Oh, I hadn't thought of that before.
Yeah. And also, she would learn in a way that, yes, you're there and you can make action, but she can do it too.
Yeah.
And I think because she's not, like that's not her natural
Tendency.
MO,
Yeah.
by doing that, it'll kind of clue Mark into your boss that he needs to listen, because it's not just you who
That's
will come to him a
true.
lot, not a lot, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
You'll speak up. If this person who doesn't normally do that is speaking up,
Right,
that's a
Jessica.
problem. Yes,
never
exactly.
complains about anything to him anyway.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
I think that there's something there.
Okay, that's a good point. I hadn't
Um,
thought of that.
yeah. So I think we've got some good things to work on.
Yeah, me too.
Start small. Like start by just kind of teasing out this pros and cons list. Your list, yes. And it doesn't have to just be about increasing hours.
Sure.
There might be some other things. There's some alternatives here. Talking to Jess, maybe thinking about pros and cons of talking to her,
Yeah. Or
'Cause
the
that
big boss too.
or the big boss,
Okay.
because that can change dynamics.
That's right.
So you want to proceed with caution there.
Okay.
Um,
Can do that.
and then, maybe thinking about some of the things you want to talk to Jess about.
Okay.
And really try to focus on getting her feedback
Okay.
and get a clear picture of what it is that she would benefit from.
That makes sense.
And then ultimately, you bring this as a united front to your boss.
Sure.
And see how it goes from there.
Okay.
And then one thing before we end our session, I just wanted to kind of point out some of the things that you have going for you in the situation, because
Oh.
it's hard, you're new in the job and you have this big decision and all this
Right.
stuff weighing on you,
Mhm.
but you are a direct communicator,
Thank you.
which is a rare quality.
Okay.
You also care genuinely for your coworkers,
Yeah.
and you want to make their lives better, not just to make your life better, but just for her as a
I
human.
care. Yes.
You care.
I want her to be happy.
Yeah, and that's awesome.
Oh, thank you.
That's a rare quality in a coworker or a person in general.
Thank you.
So I just wanted to make sure you left on a positive note.
Oh, well, thank you.
Do you have any questions for me?
No, I like having homework and something to work on in the meantime, just to start. I feel like now I'm not thinking in the box of my only solution is changing my hours. I have some other ideas. So
Okay.
thank you.
Awesome. All right. Well, we will see you in about a week, and
Okay.
I'm excited to see what you come up with.
Thank you. Me too.
All right. Take
Thank
care.
You too.
Thanks.